Session. My name is Anka. I'm a social media strategist here at SocialBee, and I will be your host for today, walking you through the entire SocialBee platform. We're going to go through the most important features in SocialBee, and at the end of our session, we will have a Q&A session that will help you get answers to any questions that you might have. So if you already have questions, feel free to add them in the Q&A box. It should be somewhere at the bottom. If you don't have questions yet, they might come while we go through the demo. So keep that in mind. You can always add your questions there. Do not add them into the chat as they're easy to be missed there. But feel free to say hi in the chat. Also, meet my colleague Andrea, who is with us here today, helping you with any technical issues that you might be having in the chat, just paying attention here and there. Hi from Malaysia. Hi. Awesome. So a few house rules for today's session. If you're asking, yes, this question is recorded, which means you will get recording after the session is completed. Yes, there is a Q&A session that we will have at the end of the demo. And yes, there is a little surprise at the end as well. Now, before we get into all the details of how SocialBee can help, I want to know a few things. So I'm going to ask a question right now, and I'm going to ask you to tell me how well do you think you know SocialBee now, before we get into the demo, so that I get an understanding a little bit of what your SocialBee level is so far. I have SocialBee set up on my second screen here, and I'm going to walk you guys through it. Oh, I see some confident people with 4. That's awesome. Can't wait to bring that up to a 5. And for everyone else who is not sure that they know SocialBee yet, I do hope that this session will help answer some questions, make sure that your social media flows easily and that your content gets done just like that. Okay, so thank you for replying to that. I'll close this and we are going to get started with the demo. So I'm going to share my screen. You guys let me know in the chat as soon as you see it so that I have visuals on that. Yes, perfect. Awesome. That's amazing. Great. So what you're currently seeing is the dashboard in SocialBee. So this is the first thing you'll see when you log in. Once you have everything set up, you'll see an overview of your connected social profiles, and you'll see that each of them has a separate toggle that is either set to running or paused. If it's set to running, that means that your content is getting pushed out and published according to your schedule. If it's set to pause, like I have it for Google Business here, that means nothing is going out, regardless of whether you're sharing it or not, or scheduling it or not. You'll also see a shortcut to connect all of the major social platforms that exist at the moment. So as you can see, all of them are integrated within SocialBee, and you're able to connect everything from Meta, which means Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. You're also able to connect Pinterest, LinkedIn, Google Business, and YouTube, X, Blue Sky, as well as TikTok. And we also have something called universal posting. This is a semi-automated way of posting that is there to help you schedule content to any platform that is not currently integrated within SocialBee. So you'll be able to get notifications on your phone when it's time to publish the content, and you can continue publishing it from there. This is perfect for sharing content to Facebook groups, to WhatsApp, to Reddit, Quora, Telegram, any other platform that doesn't currently have a direct integration with SocialBee. So, a few questions that I'm anticipating. Can I connect more than one Facebook page? Or what if I have multiple socials on the same network? Yes, you can connect more than one. You can connect as many as your plan allows. And before we go into the features, let's go into the pricing a little bit so that we know exactly what each plan accommodates. So our plans, our tiers are simple. They differ based on the number of social profiles that you have connected based on the number of users and the number of workspaces that you have connected. That's the main difference between them. So if you need 5 social accounts total, that can be 5 Facebook pages or a mix, you're going to go well with Bootstrap, which is either a monthly or a yearly option as well. So Bootstrap accommodates 5 social profiles, 1 user, perfect for small businesses or startups or people who are on their own and doing their own thing. Accelerate is a little bit bigger and accommodates 10 social profiles along with 1 user and 1 workspace. And then Pro, that's where the beauty shines. This accommodates 25 social profiles and higher through the agency tiers that you'll find here. And it gives you access to 5 workspaces and 3 users per workspace. This is perfect if you are an agency, a freelancer, if you own multiple businesses and you want to separate them within the same account, because workspaces will allow you to do just that. They create sub-accounts within SocialBee, giving you the possibility to separate your accounts, to give access to different people to only a few of your accounts, and that way you don't have to worry about anything else. As I said, you can have these plans on a monthly basis or a yearly option, which does give you a little bit of a discount. So in essence, you pay for 10 months, you get 12 with the yearly plan. And if you're interested in the monthly plan, well, stick with us until the end and you'll see what surprises we have to offer there. So now that we have all of this, let me refresh that. My internet connection hasn't been stable today, so hopefully it doesn't glitch a lot. But anyway, SocialBee can help with four main areas of your social media strategy, and that is to create content, to schedule content, to analyze your content, and to engage with your content all in one place. And we're going to go through each one of these in more detail and get a little more understanding of what each of them entails. Starting with creating your content. In order to create your content, the first thing you need to have is a content strategy. If you have that already, that's perfect. You could go ahead and work with the content area. If you don't have a content strategy, or maybe don't know how to do that, or even you just run out of ideas and you want to see what else is out there, you can use the social media Copilot here in order to help you get things started with a strategy. This is not a complete strategy, but rather a more easy way to get things started. This is an AI assistant. It will ask you a few questions. And when you reply to those questions, do it as detailed as possible. That will allow you to get the more bang for your buck with this feature. Once you answer those and you select the profiles that you want to work with, I have Facebook and Instagram selected here. It will generate content categories for you. If you're not familiar with content categories, these are a way to organize your content within SocialBee. They are great to use as your content pillars, different types of content, campaigns, days of the week, whatever you prefer organizing your content in, to make sure that you have all the right types of content that you want to share. It will also give you access to schedule the categories instead of an individual post, giving you more freedom with your time because you don't have to run around doing the same thing over and over again. And you'll also be able to have some additional features that we'll talk about shortly. But for now, let's look at these categories that it generated. They typically follow the 80-20 rule, where 80% of your content provides value. In my case, we have expert interviews, case studies, and social media tips providing educational value, and behind the scenes providing a little bit of an entertaining value. But we also have client testimonials, which is the other 20%, providing some sort of promotional value as well. So in this case, promoting the business. So this is kind of what you'll get with your categories, but you can also create your own from scratch if you want to. So with all that in mind, the next step is to generate a content plan. This is a weekly posting plan that you will take care of on a weekly basis, basically. So the Copilot looks at the best times to post, it looks at when your audience is online, and it basically comes up with the best times for you to publish your content. Once you set this up, the next step is to generate content ideas, and this will basically help with making sure that you never run out of ideas. So that's what it can do. When you're generating content ideas, it's important to know that you can always generate more content from here. So you'll be able to see the content ideas that you have within each category. In the content column, you'll see the idea for the text part, and in the notes column, you'll see the idea for the image part of your post so that you know what kind of a visual works with what kind of a post. And if you don't like these and you want to generate more, there's a button at the bottom that will help you generate more content. If you like them, you just select them and use them in your content, which will take the posts and bring them into your content categories inside the content menu. And that's what we're going to do. Whoops, there's a little bit of something there. Yep, they got added. Perfect. Okay, so we're in the content menu now. This menu is going to be where you spend the majority of your time within SocialBee. So in here, you'll have your content categories, but you also have a section called content without a category. So with that, you'll be able to schedule any content that you don't want to categorize, or if you don't want to use categories, that's perfectly fine. You can just use this section. What's important to know about this section, though, is that it does require a specific time and date to publish, whereas categories can be scheduled on a day of the week and then they don't need that date. With categories, you can also pause them, activate them, so it's a whole thing that you can do there. And in the content menu, you also have a few tools at your disposal that will help make things easier for you. So a few of these. Hashtag collections. This will help you save your hashtags into sets that are ready to use whenever you are creating new content. Then you have bulk importing options for CSV files, for links and media files, so that you can upload all of this content that you have in your computer within your SocialBee account. You have an RSS feed connector here that will connect to a website, let's say your blog, and it will allow you to automatically bring in any type of content that that feed provides. So in my case, I have SocialBee's blog connected here. This basically means that every time my colleagues, and usually that's Andrea, every time my colleagues publish something new on the blog, that means I automatically get it imported into the category of my choice, which in my case is blog posts, allowing me to make sure that you don't have to go out looking for the content. It comes to you, basically. So you can create this very easily. You can have it in here and just have it saved as a draft or as approved if you're ready to publish it all together. There's also more advanced integrations within SocialBee like Zapier, Make, or Pabbly. Yes, I am sure. There we go. Like Zapier, Make, or Pabbly, which will help you create ecosystems between SocialBee and other tools that you might be using. There's also a browser extension that will help you pick up content on the go. And finally, a content approval system that will help you review and approve the content that you have in order to make sure that it goes out. So if you're working with a team, as soon as my internet loads this, let's try that again. There we go. So we have the Copilot posts that we generated earlier. So basically, with these, you'll see that you are able to set them from draft to approved or leave a note under this. For these particular posts, I am not able to approve them because they don't have an image and I have Instagram selected. So if I try to approve one of these, it warns me that Instagram requires an image in order to post. So what I can do is maybe add a photo or a video. I can do that from Canva, for instance. Really simple. I can just go into the Canva account and pick one. I'll just use a random design here and bring it into that post. And that's it. So now when I update the post, I'm able to now approve the post easily because it does have that perfect. On the other hand, if I wanted to, let's say, communicate to a colleague that I need that template edited in Canva, I can just leave a note and say, Andrea. Let's add Andrea here. Where is she? There we go, Andrea. Can you please create an image based on the design I've added from Canva? And what will happen is that Andrea will get a notification via email letting her know that I mentioned her. She'll be able to come back into the SocialBee account and access that specific post, and it will basically help her work on the feedback that I provided there. Now let's talk about how you can create a post from scratch. And in order to do that, you're going to open up okay, I'm gonna switch over to mobile data just to make sure that this does not happen all throughout. Just a second. Okay, I think that should be done. Cool. So as I was saying, if you want to create a post from scratch, you can open this up, which is the post editor, and it will help you create your content as easy as it can be. So the first thing you're going to do is select the profiles that you want to work with. I have LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook selected, and it will allow you to just create your content as you normally would. And this basically means that you have all the freedom to create the content as much as possible. I see people commenting in the chat with questions. Please make sure to add them in the Q&A session, in the Q&A box, so that I can answer them at the end. I will not address any questions before we finish with the demo so that we're mindful of everyone's time. Awesome. So what happens if you want to create something, create a post, and you don't know how to say something? You can use the AI assistant in the post editor to go ahead and create captions, images, or to just customize the captions further for each selected social profile. Now let's say we want to start by generating captions. There are hundreds of prompt templates available for you to use, organized into these categories, and you're able to work with them from there. You're also able to shuffle them so that you can brainstorm ideas. And that way you can find something that works for you. If you find one that you like, you'll be able to see that you have an option to heart it. That means you're going to favorite it, and that means you're going to find it in the favorite selection here. So let's just stick with this random prompt here and let's see what it comes up with. So let's pretend I'm the owner of a restaurant. And I want to feature a recipe for a popular cocktail that I'm serving at a restaurant. So let's say I want to do this in an informational manner. Oh, and by the way, you can specify a few things. So let's say don't use any alcohol in this, whatever. You can also change the language that you are creating the content in. So if I wanted this in Spanish, I would just say create a post in Spanish. All of that is super available to you. Then you can choose the tone of voice and the length of your content. I typically tend to go between 200 and 300 words in the length of my content. So that way you are able to get the most benefits out of your caption. You can also choose to generate hashtags, include emoji, and how many options you want to generate, allowing you to fully customize this further. So with that in mind, it will actually provide you with the posts. And let's say I like those two that I've selected. I'm just going to use them. in my content. If you like more than one of the options that the AI provides, you can just select multiple. And that means that you'll create variations. In this case, what variations do is that it allows you to repurpose the same idea, the same post more than once without actually repeating the same text more than once. So it's not going to be a super um, it's not going to be a super repetitive post. That's what I meant. So in this case, we have two options, right? Variation 1 is this one, variation 2 is this one. Let's say we want to create an AI image for variation 1. I'll just go ahead and use the AI assistant to generate images here. It will suggest a prompt based on the text that I have, and then I can choose to generate up to 4 images at a time. With that in mind, let's go ahead and click on generate and see what we're gonna get here. And I'm gonna sip some water in the meantime while it generates. Let's see what it comes up with. By the way, you can also edit these prompts to make them truly your own. So if you want to add a specific idea to the prompt, you can definitely do that. So as you can see, it generates some pretty good images. And let's say I want to select the first one, I can use it in my post like so. And it's super easy for me to work with this further. So if I'm offering this drink at my restaurant, now I have a completely perfect image for it to work with. On the second variation, you'll see that I still have the warning sign letting me know that I need an image. In this case, I might want to add a video instead. So maybe a video presenting how the drink is being prepared. I don't have that, so I'll just use a sample reel that I have with a SocialBee feature. And you'll see how now the warning sign has become a mobile icon. This is telling me that the video that I've added is not the right aspect ratio for Instagram and requires your attention further. So that either can mean that the post will go out through mobile reminders if you don't change anything for it, or that you can change some stuff to make it go directly. By the way, you can also add visuals directly from your Canva, from Giphy, or Unsplash in case you need royalty-free images. And if you want to customize it further and let's say set the video as a reel, you can do that by clicking on customize for each profile. So when you do that, it splits the post into a separate instance for each one of your selected social profiles, basically allowing you to control everything on a profile level. So now you can go into the Instagram text box and select feed and reel to make sure that your video is shared as a reel. And you're also able to access platform specific features. So in this case, you'll be able to work well with Instagram on the platform specific features. It will allow you to invite collaborators onto your video or image, add a location or hashtags to your content, change the cover of your video either from the frames of that video or from your computer, add a first comment or tag users directly in the text here. So if I tag SocialBee, which is SocialBee HQ, I will be able to tag them in here or on the images themselves. You'll see that you'll find different features available for different platforms depending on what's available for each individual platform in their API. So there might be different things available across the whole board. When you're happy with the content that you've created, the next step for you is to choose how you want to publish it. And there are actually 3 options here. You can post it immediately by enabling the post now option and then saving your post. This publishes your content right away. So unless you want to publish your content then and there, do not enable this. On the other hand, if you want to schedule your content, there are 2 options in here. One of them being the ability to add a posting time. This will suggest the best time to post according to when your audience is online. So you're able to do that, and you'll see how that changes from day to day as your audience's behavior changes. And you can add one or multiple posting times if you want to share it more than once. You're also going to be able to, let me just remove that, to be able to include this into a category of your choice. And whenever that category is scheduled, that's when the post will go out. So I'll just use the test or the webinar content category just to know that this doesn't get published by mistake. And basically, I'm adding this to the top of my queue. That means this is the next post in line whenever that category gets scheduled. If I add this to the bottom of the queue, that means this is the last post in line whenever that category is scheduled. So if I publish webinar content every Monday, this means that on a Monday, this post will get published depending on where it is in my queue. I also have options to re-queue my post. So if I want to share it more than once, and that's especially something that you want to do if you have multiple variations like I do, you can turn on the requeue feature, and then you'll have options to expire it either after it's been published a number of times. So because I have two variations and I want to publish each variation once, I can just expire it after it's been published twice, allowing me to make sure that each one of my variations goes out only once. Or you can expire it at a specific time and date, which will allow you to prevent any types of hiccups, like having a Happy New Year post accidentally published mid-September and embarrassing. So you can do all of that and so much more. I'm not going into too much detail with the post editor, but if you're already a SocialBee user, by the way, you know that you are able to currently work with either this post editor or our trial beta version of the updated post editor. So if you want to work with that one, I'll just save this as a draft for now. If you want to work with that one and test it out and provide feedback on the new post editor, you can go into your settings. Once that goes away, there we go, into the edit profile part, and at the bottom where it says post editor experience, enable our new post editor for an updated content creation workflow. And the same features that I've just shown you are available in this new post editor, but basically a little easier on the eyes. So it's super helpful to keep in mind that you also have this as an option. And you can use both of them whenever you need to. Now that we have the content part settled, let's move into the scheduler. And just like with the post editor, there are two versions of the scheduler right now in SocialBee. One of them is combined within the schedule setup and the next posts. On the other hand, the newer version is the scheduler, and I'm going to show you this one instead. So what you'll see here is that there are three main tabs at the top right. Calendar and list view show you your upcoming content in a calendar or list format, depending on your preference. And then the overview gives you the calendar for your categories. So this is where you schedule your categories specifically. In this case, you'll see that I have one social account selected, Pinterest right now, and I only have blog posts every Friday. If I wanted to schedule on Pinterest every Tuesday a, let's say, testimonial, I would be able to just do that and choose the time that I want, let's say 2 p.m. And add it there. You'll see how easy it is for me to just add the category in there and make sure that I customize this further. You'll also see that at the bottom here, you'll have a content mix that will give you more info on how balanced your mix is. So I was giving you the example of the 80-20 in the beginning, 80% providing value, 20% promoting the business. I don't have anything no, I do have everything. So I have client testimonials providing promotional and blog posts educational. But it's kind of 50-50 right now. So I want to reduce the number of promotional posts a little bit and include more content that's educational. So maybe on Saturdays, I'll just add, let's see what we add, some social media tips in here. So now I have 33% testimonials, 33% social media tips, and 33% blog posts, which is great. That means I have more educational value than I have promotional content and is in line with my strategy. If I don't want to do that anymore and I just want to edit this or delete it altogether, I can do that very easily from here as well. Just like that. Okay, so now that we have our schedule selected here, let's go into the calendar and see what this looks like. I'll just switch over to Instagram where I have more content published and I can show you a little bit better. I don't have any content scheduled for tomorrow or Friday, but I do have some for next Monday, so you can see exactly what that looks like. Once again, the calendar will show you your upcoming content, but it will also show you any content that's been published in the past. So you can move back into the past and see what's been published, or further into the future and see where you need to add content. So for instance, once we finish with this demo, I will go ahead and start working on content to publish tomorrow and on Friday. So that's my next to-do after this demo. You'll be able to see that when you have a category scheduled, if it doesn't have content, it allows you to add content directly from here so that you don't have to hop back into the categories and do all of that and start fresh. You're also just able to skip the posting time until you're ready to add more content. So if you don't want to post, then just leave it as is. Nothing happens until you add content into that category. When you do have content, on the other hand, you'll see it popping up like this, and you can click on it to get a full preview of what that post will look like. If you want to add a post into your calendar on a specific time slot, you can click on an empty time slot, and that will allow you to either create a post or add a category schedule. And you can see this whole calendar thing in a daily view, which will show you the posts scheduled that day, in a 4-day view, which is showing you the next 4 days, a weekly view that shows you the next 7 days. Keep in mind that in the weekly view, the week starts on today's date always. So because today is Tuesday, it starts on a Tuesday and it doesn't start Monday to Sunday. You also have a monthly view that will allow you to show everything that works out on the content for that month, depending on your setup there. Okay, so that is the second pillar of SocialBee. That is the scheduling. Now we're moving into analytics, and this will give you more insight into how your content is performing across the different channels that you have here. So in here, you'll select only one profile at a time. You will not be able to do this for multiple profiles at a time. And then you select a time frame. Let's say we want to look at the last month. We can do that and see how that goes. You'll also be able to see that there are different time frames available, and you might have different ones depending on the plan that you're on. So for Bootstrap, which is the lowest tier, you'll be able to look at the last 14 days, the last month, or the last 3 months worth of analytics. If you're on Accelerate, which is the mid tier, you can go to all time and see your analytics per all time, which is a maximum of 2 years into the past. And with Pro, you also get access to all time, but you also get access to a custom time frame that will allow you to select a specific time from the past. And with the Pro plan, you also get access to the export feature, which allows you to customize your report with your logo and a small summary. And then it will allow you to select the type of info that you want to include in your content and then download this as a PDF. So this is something that you can do on the Pro plan. But if you don't have the Pro plan, you still get access to all the data. You just can't export it out of SocialBee. So Page analytics. Let's see what it gives. in this case, we're looking at Instagram. So the metrics are very much specific to Instagram. And you'll notice that each type of platform will give their own different metrics. So you'll see the number of posts, the growth of your page, the engagement, if that's available. Side note, for Instagram right now, it is not available. They are working on unifying the old impressions per post, which was something that they used on static posts, and the new views, which is something that they used on videos, into one single metric so that they can actually use it further. So while that happens, this is unavailable, but it will become available in the future. You'll also see your reach for the time frame that you've had across your profile, along with any other information that is important to you. So follower count, demographics, and when your audience is online are all part of the analytics for your page. You'll also see that every metric is compared to the previous similar period. So we're looking at the last month. That is the last 30 days in essence, but let's just pretend that's just the entire month of September. We'll see it in green if there's an increase from the previous month, or in red if there's a decrease from the previous month of posting. The post analytics will give you an average idea of how your content is performing usually. So in this case, you'll see the average number of posts per day, average reach, best type of content. You'll also see how consistent you are posting. So for instance, I didn't have time to publish content for a week in mid-September here, which you can definitely see in here as well. This particular graph is best seen over a larger time frame, so you can go and select the last 3 months and maybe look at how consistent you've been over the last 3 months. You're also going to be able to look at your reach and see any spikes or any drops that are in your reach that you want to work with. Then you have it all broken down into category metrics and types of posts with average information for every metric, as well as the best time to post according to when your audience interacts with that specific metric. So you'll have all of that in the Post Analytics tab. The next tab that we have here is actually my favorite tab in SocialBee, and this is the Insights tab. If you are someone who works in marketing and loves analytics, say I in the chat. That's me. That's always going to be me. I love creating content, but I love looking at analytics even more. So that's why this is my favorite page in the analytics menu. And let me explain why. So in here, you will see the distribution of your content throughout the day. That means that you'll see when your audience is getting your content, not when they're online, not when you're publishing, but when they are getting it. And that's important to know because there might be a gap between the moment you publish and the moment your audience gets the content. As we know, algorithms nowadays are not linear, they're not chronological. So it might not be that you're just publishing now and your audience will get it. It can be, and that's great if it happens, but if it doesn't, you have data to adjust that and to make it happen in the future. So as an example, let's look at the purple dots here. This is my engaging posts category, publishing every Monday at noon. So you see out of the 4 bubbles that we have here, and let me actually filter for just this one so that we only see this one. Out of the 4 bubbles that you see here, the biggest bubble is on Monday at noon, which is great for me because that means that my audience is getting the content right when I publish it. And that means it's a greater chance for them to interact with it. Therefore, it's a greater chance for the algorithm to push it even further to new audiences that might be interested in it. If, on the other hand, I would have had this one at 9 p.m. be the bigger bubble, there would have been an issue here because that would mean there's 8-ish, 9-ish hours between the moment I publish and the moment my audience starts getting that content. And by that time, the algorithm, seeing no interactions with my post, might already decide that my content is not relevant for its users and therefore not push it further. So you don't want that big of a gap between when you're posting and when your audience is online. You want to go somewhere between 30 minutes to an hour between these two. And there's different filters available too. So depending on what you want to achieve with that post, you can work on multiple filters here. Then at the bottom here, you'll see your top performing content in terms of top 3 categories, post types, and individual posts to see what outperformed everything that you've done in that period, in that last 3 months for me. Finally, you'll have your complete post history for everything that you've published in SocialBee or outside of SocialBee. So yes, this does include content that you didn't publish in SocialBee, and you are going to be able to see that content within SocialBee's analytics. So in this case, you have multiple filterings available to filter for best performing or worst performing, chronological order even, and you'll see that each post has individual analytics, it has the category it's going out from, and if the content is not published through SocialBee, and I know I have some here, you'll see it lined up as external post. This means the post wasn't published through SocialBee, but if you want to bring it into SocialBee, you do have that option by clicking on the reuse button. And that will open up the post editor and allow you to update this post and work with it again. So if you see a post that's performing really well, you might want to reuse it and rewrite it with the AI tool to kind of bring it back into the picture. And that's it for analytics. So we have one final feature to work with, and once we're done with that, we'll go into the Q&A. So the final feature that I wanted to show you guys is the Engage dashboard. This is a place where you are able to monitor and reply to comments, mentions, and DMs across your different channels. I see that I need to reconnect my Facebook page, so that's something that I'm gonna have to do. But in the meantime, you can create boards for each one of your interactions or each one of your socials or businesses or however you want to work with it. I have mine by interaction types. So I have comments, mentions, DMs, and Google Business, and then one for my webinars. But you're also able to just see the comment and interact with it directly from here. So if I want to reply to this, I can just do that quickly right within SocialBee so that I don't have to worry about it and I don't have to hop from platform to platform to make this happen. And this is available on multiple platforms depending on what each platform allows. Now, if you stuck with us for this long and you're interested in working with SocialBee further, I want you to answer honestly. I'll ask the same question that I asked in the beginning of our demo. After this demo, how well do you think you know SocialBee? Let me know if anything improved from what you were when we got into this demo to what it is now. I do see some 5s now and some 4s and 3s, but I also see 2 and 1. So I'm really curious to see if you have any other expectations here or if there's really other questions. You can always just go ahead and reach out to us for a more in detail demo. There's an option for you to book a call with our team, myself included. There's also our success team, which is there to help via email, chat, or call at any moment. So you can always work with that. And if you're happy with the trial and you want to get started with a SocialBee subscription, you can use the code that my colleague Andrea will add into the chat, which will offer a 50% discount for the first 3 months of your monthly subscription. Now I'll end this poll and I'll go into the questions. Yes, Robert, you will get a copy of this recording. This is going to be sent to everyone who registered in about 24 hours or so. So yes, you will be able to get a copy of that. Okay, and I see we have quite a few questions, so let's go ahead and go through them, starting with the first one. Can I use this platform for my online business? Yes, you can definitely use it to schedule the content for your social media and make sure that your online business has a social presence and is consistent on social media, or even for customer support if you're doing customer support through social media messages with the Engage dashboard. That's something that you can do. How about if I don't have all the social media platforms? You don't have to connect all of them if you don't have all of them. You can just connect the ones that you have. It doesn't have to be different in any way. So it really is up to you what you're connecting and how many you are connecting. Can you give access to a second person in your team with Bootstrap? Yes, you can if you purchase an additional user. You'll see how each one of our tiers, there we go, has the option to add add-ons to there. So that will allow you to basically add extra people, extra workspaces, extra social profiles to fully customize the plan further for your specific needs. So yes, you can. Does the system automatically generate content? I believe that I've already answered this question. Yes, it does. It's not fully automatic, so you still have to prompt it to do that. But basically, yes, it does help with creating content so that you don't have to if you don't know how to do that, or if you just don't have the time to create your own content. So the CEO can't log in and approve any of the content I have prepared with the Bootstrap plan? I would have to be a pro? No, you can use the Bootstrap plan and log in with different credentials when you have multiple users added to your plan, or with the same credentials if you are multiple people working within the same small team and don't want to add extra users. But I would recommend having separate credentials because that way you know who did what. Can you delete a story that you posted on Facebook from SocialBee? Unfortunately, no. SocialBee does not have access to the posts once they've been published. So you'll have to do that from your Insta, from your Facebook, from everything like that. How does this concept differ from AI bots which are being promoted on different social media platforms? Well, for one, it is a all-in-one tool. It will allow you to create the content, to schedule the content across the many platforms that maybe are not from the same tool. So they're not all Meta. You might also have Twitter, you might also have, or X, sorry. You might also have LinkedIn, you might also have YouTube Shorts, TikTok, all of those. And instead of individually scheduling, you can use one tool to do it all. And then you have some additional tools and additional info that mainly the platforms don't have themselves. For instance, Meta will give you analytics on the last 30 days on some metrics. And in SocialBee, you can get those same metrics for up to 2 years into the past. So basically, there's a different time frame there. Can you resize in SocialBee? My Instagram story pictures always gets cut off. Yes, you can. When you work with the post, and now I'll show you in the new post editor, when you upload an image, let's say we want to work with the sunflowers here, I'll just drag and drop it. You'll get the warning sign that the aspect ratio is not correct. So let's say if I just want to use Instagram here, I'll just quickly customize for each profile, which in the new post editor is a toggle, and you'll be able to work with this there. And then you'll have the cropper tool or edit image tool here under the pencil icon. So with this, you'll be able to flip the image if needed or customize the crop for it. And the best ones are the ones that you'll see the logo of the platform on. So for stories, by the way, the best one is usually the vertical one, which is 9 by 16. And you're able to adjust it that way and save it there. And now if I want to share it as a story, make sure to actually select story there. And that will make sure that this is publishing correctly. Next question. Does SocialBee help with content strategies to get the most out of TikTok? Or they might say post 3 times a day. Instagram might be different. We do have some best practices on our blog that you might be able to work with. Or if you want some of our team to help with that, we also have options for that. You can actually employ our team and do the work for you and create the content for you with our concierge